The afternoon sun cast a golden glow across the high-end Gucci flagship store, where the atmosphere was already electric with anticipation. Zhang Ling stood near the central display, effortlessly capturing everyone's attention in a sleek, tailored designer suit. Millions of fans were tuned into the live broadcast, their comments scrolling past at lightning speed as they expressed their adoration for the rising star. The production crew moved quietly behind the cameras, ensuring every detail of the brand new luxury collection was showcased to perfection. Linghe smiled warmly at the camera, smoothly interacting with the online audience while reading out some of the funniest fan messages. Little did he know, a delightful surprise was about to unfold just off-screen, completely changing the dynamic of the broadcast. Behind the heavy velvet curtains, Xiwei tiptoed quietly into the backstage area, trying her absolute best not to make a sound. She wore a chic, contemporary outfit that matched the high-fashion aesthetic of the event, her bright eyes twinkling with mischievous excitement. Having finished her own schedule nearby, she had secretly plotted this impromptu visit to playfully ambush her fellow actors' live stream. Her manager stood nearby, stifling a laugh as Xiwei signaled that she was ready to make her move. The element of surprise was everything, and she was determined to pull it off without tipping off the crew or the unsuspecting host. On the live stream, Linghe was in the middle of explaining the intricate craftsmanship of a leather handbag when a sudden rustling sound caught his attention. He paused mid-sentence, his brow furrowing slightly as he glanced toward the entrance of the private VIP section. Before he could even process what was happening, a familiar figure darted out from behind the partition with lightning speed. Before Linghe could fully turn around, a pair of arms wrapped tightly around his shoulders from behind in a warm, cheerful embrace. A wave of collective shock echoed through the studio crew as the unexpected intruder revealed herself to be none other than Tian. The live stream chat instantly exploded into a chaotic waterfall of digital emojis, screaming text, and heart symbols as millions of viewers realized what had just happened. Fans who had been casually watching the luxury showcase suddenly sat up straight in disbelief, their screens flooded with expressions of pure excitement. Within seconds, trending hashtags related to the sudden reunion began shooting to the top of social media charts across multiple platforms. The sheer spontaneity of the moment caught everyone off guard, shattering the usual polished and scripted nature of celebrity brand events. It was a genuine, unfiltered interaction that web users immediately began clipping and sharing everywhere. For a brief second, Zhang Ling froze in sheer astonishment, his eyes widening as the unexpected weight of the hug registered in his mind. He quickly looked over his shoulder, and upon recognizing Xiwei's bright, grinning face, a massive, genuine smile broke across his own features. The initial confusion melted away instantly, replaced by a warm, fond amusement at her playful audacity. Instead of stepping back to maintain formal broadcast etiquette, he instinctively leaned into the greeting, turning slightly to welcome her properly. The chemistry between the two friends was immediately palpable, radiating right through the camera lens and captivating everyone watching. "What are you doing here?" Linghe laughed out loud, his voice filled with delightful disbelief as he carefully extricated himself from the hug to face her. Xiwei beamed brightly, stepping into the frame and casually waving at the camera as if she belonged there all along. "I was in the neighborhood and heard you were showing off all the good Gucci gear, so I figured I'd come inspect your hosting skills," she teased smoothly. The live stream director frantically gestured behind the cameras, signaling for an extra microphone to be brought over immediately. Crew members scrambled quietly to hand Xiwei a clip-on mic, realizing that this unexpected guest appearance was turning into gold for the brand. Linghe shook his head, still chuckling as he gestured for her to stand beside him in front of the main display cameras. "You always find a way to surprise people when they least expect it," he remarked, his eyes crinkling with fondness. Xiwei playfully adjusted her collar and struck an exaggerated high-fashion pose next to him, instantly fitting right into the aesthetic of the luxury boutique. "Well, someone had to make sure you weren't boring the audience to death with all those technical fashion terms," she retorted with a cheeky wink. The online viewers went completely wild over her quick wit, flooding the comment section with endless praise for her comedic timing and charm. Linghe laughed heartily, turning to the camera to address the skyrocketing viewer count. "As you can all see, my peaceful live stream has just been thoroughly hijacked by a very mischievous guest," he announced playfully. Xiwei gasped in mock offense, placing a hand over her heart while looking directly at the lens. "Hijacked? I am merely enhancing the quality of this broadcast out of the goodness of my heart," she declared dramatically. The banter between them flowed so naturally that it felt less like a commercial brand event and more like a fun hangout between close friends. Viewers could not get enough of their easygoing dynamic, noting how comfortable they appeared around each other despite the massive audience. As the initial excitement began to settle, Linghe guided Xiwei toward the seating area where the latest seasonal accessories were arranged on velvet trays. "Since you are here, you might as well make yourself useful and help me showcase some of these pieces," he suggested with a raised eyebrow. Xiwei immediately lit up at the challenge, eagerly leaning over the glass display case to examine a series of stunning miniature handbags. "Oh, I have great taste, so the audience is in for a real treat," she bragged confidently, picking up a vibrant red clutch. She held it up against her outfit, flashing a radiant smile at the camera while Linghe watched her with an amused, indulgent expression. The online chat rooms were now moving at an impossible speed, with fans desperately typing out questions for the dynamic duo to answer together. Linghe noticed a popular question scrolling past and decided to read it aloud for both of them to address. "Someone is asking how long we've been planning this little surprise ambush," he said, turning his gaze toward Xiwei. Xiwei laughed, shaking her head as she put the clutch back down on the tray. "I promise you, it was entirely spontaneous. I literally decided to drop by 10 minutes ago," she explained honestly. Linghe nodded in agreement, confirming her story for the curious fans. "It's true, she loves keeping everyone on their toes, especially me," he added with a soft chuckle. The brand representatives standing off to the side exchanged happy glances, whispering among themselves as they watched the engagement metrics soar to unprecedented heights. Having two major stars interacting so naturally on camera was proving to be a massive marketing win for the luxury label. They quietly decided to extend the live broadcast duration to accommodate the unexpected guest segment, knowing the fans would demand more. Linghe and Xiwei remained completely unaware of the behind-the-scenes scramble, entirely focused on having a fun time with each other and their supporters. Moving on to the next display, Linghe picked up a classic leather wallet and began highlighting its fine stitching and practical design. Xiwei leaned in closely beside him, peering over his shoulder to inspect the craftsmanship with a critical yet playful eye. "Not bad, but I think the color selection could use a bit more pop," she critiqued with a theatrical sigh. Linghe chuckled, gently nudging her shoulder with his own. "You are impossible to please, aren't you?" he asked, his voice laced with affectionate warmth. Xiwei simply grinned wider, refusing to back down from her playful critique. "I just have high standards, Linghe," she replied smoothly, making the crew members behind the camera laugh out loud. The conversation naturally drifted into a light-hearted debate about fashion preferences, color combinations, and their respective upcoming busy schedules. Fans watching from home felt as though they were sitting in the same room with them, enjoying a casual afternoon chat between friends. The warmth and authenticity of their interaction served as a refreshing contrast to the usual heavily scripted nature of celebrity endorsements. Every gesture, laugh, and playful eye roll felt genuine, cementing their reputation as one of the most endearing pairings in the entertainment industry. As the live stream reached its final 15 minutes, Linghe checked the time on his watch and informed the audience that they would be wrapping up soon. A collective wave of disappointment echoed through the chat as fans begged them to stay on air for a little longer. Xiwei noticed the sad comments and leaned closer to the microphone to offer some comfort. "Don't worry, everyone, all good things must come to an end, but we had a blast hanging out with you all today," she said sweetly. Linghe nodded in agreement, looking directly into the camera lens with a grateful expression. "Thank you for tuning in, and a special thanks to our surprise guest for crashing the party and making it unforgettable," he added, casting a warm look toward Xiwei. Xiwei gave a dramatic bow, thanking the brand for letting her take over the broadcast for a little while. "It was an absolute pleasure, and remember to buy all the Gucci items Linghe just recommended," she joked, pointing at him with both hands. Linghe laughed, shaking his head at her cheeky closing statement as the final countdown for the live stream began. With one last synchronized wave to the camera, the broadcast officially came to an end, plunging the physical studio back into a quiet calm. The moment the red recording light turned off, the production crew erupted into enthusiastic applause, praising both actors for an incredible and spontaneous live session. Linghe turned to Xiwei with a wide grin, offering her a high five to celebrate the massive success of their impromptu collaboration. Xiwei gladly returned the high five, looking immensely pleased with her successful mission to liven up his workday. "You really know how to turn a simple product showcase into a full-scale variety show," Linghe remarked, shaking his head while still smiling broadly. Xiwei laughed brightly, adjusting her jacket as she prepared to head back out to her own waiting vehicle. That's my specialty, you're welcome for saving your broadcast from being completely ordinary, she teased lightheartedly. They walked together toward the private exit of the boutique, chatting comfortably away from the public eye as the dust from the viral moment began to settle online. Social media platforms were already overflowing with clips of the hug, the surprise entrance, and their witty banter, ensuring the stream would remain a hot topic for days. It was an ordinary afternoon that had transformed into a memorable fan-favorite moment, all thanks to a sudden embrace and a whole lot of genuine chemistry.